We're back here on CBS Sports HQ. It is Monday, which means we have released our latest MLB Power Rankings. And would you believe it, the smallest market MLB club with a bottom third payroll lands at the top as the best team in baseball. As you see there, number one, the Milwaukee Brewers. For much more on this, let's go ahead and say hello to our own Matt Snyder, who made these rankings, and Julian McWilliams. Matt, let's go ahead and begin with the Brewers at the top of your rankings here. Best record in baseball. Milwaukee have now won 46 of their last 65 games. Full season pace, as you noted in your article, of 115 wins, and this team with the second best record in baseball, the Cubs, coming in at 2.
Yeah, the Brewers, they just, any which way, they just keep winning and winning and winning. It's 42-16 since May 24th. They right now have the best record in baseball by 2 games. Of course, the Cubs are 2 games back, and they're in the same division. So geography kind of messing up the Cubs on that one. But the thing about the Brewers is they just keep having different guys step up. Jackson Chourio hits the injured list. You see Bryce Terang doing a great job over the weekend. Sal Frelick having a great year. Caleb Durbin. Right now, Jacob Mizorowski hits the injured list. So Logan Henderson is going to come back up. He was great at the start of the year. You cannot say enough about the Brewers and how well of an organization it is right now. They are so well run. It's unbelievable. They're in the golden era of Brewers baseball right now, even though they haven't made the World Series with this current group. They make the playoffs almost every single year, and they have roster turnover. They change managers. It just doesn't matter. Players get injured. It doesn't matter. They just have guys step up. It's tip of the cap to the Brewers right now. It's unbelievable what they're doing.
Yeah, I agree with Matt. I mean, for me, it starts with Pat Murphy, too, right? I think he's one of the better managers in baseball. You think you put him up there with A.J. Hinch. I don't know if it's because he has the college background where he holds guys more accountable, but I think that just having him in that system has created that energy. He matches the energy of those players. And then you talk about the roster depth. Matt alluded to it. The guys go down, other guys step up. And I think that's what every team wants. But every team doesn't have the luxury of having. So good on the Brewers. I mean, they hit, they pitch, they play defense, they steal bases. They're one of the more athletic teams in baseball. So I think if you're looking at this team as a force in the playoffs, I think that would be really valid.
Looking at the top 10 here of your power rankings, Matt, the Padres appear to be the biggest risers, jumping 7 whole spots. What really went into that decision?
Well, they're hot right now. They're a good team. Depth was kind of a problem going into the trade deadline, and maybe it still is. It's not a deep major league roster in terms of like the bench or when you get toward the back of the rotation, but that also might not matter in the playoffs. Remember, the 2019 Nationals had about 7 or 8 guys just drag them across the finish line and win the championship. Look, the Padres are only 3 games out right now. They had a great trade deadline if you're talking about just in the here and now for 2025, and they held on to Dylan Cease. Now he threw well. It looks like they might have a really good playoff rotation. The bullpen is absolutely ridiculous to add Mason Miller to the group that already had the best ERA in baseball. Good offense, especially toward the top of the order when you're talking about Fernando Tatis Jr. and Manny Machado. They've won 7 of 8. They swept the Mets, and the Mets were really hot when they went to San Diego. So I thought it was worth a little bump for the Padres there.
Yeah, in the age of holding on to prospects and waiting on for next year, I'm with AJ Preller. I know he gets a lot of flack for giving up guys, but look, he goes after the best guys. And I think not only the addition of Mason Miller, but the addition of Ramon Laureano in left field, that's huge for this team. That I think it puts them up as defensively one of the better teams in baseball. Ryan O'Hearn at first base. And similar to Dave Dombrowski in Philadelphia, if there's a need for the team, he goes out and gets it. He doesn't sort of, go to the wins within the margins all the time. Certainly, that's important to even out a roster. But you need stars to be able to win, and particularly to be able to win in that division against a Dodger team that we know is going to be there in the playoffs.
Getting to some teams who fell in the latest rankings, the Mets unfortunately have to be in that discussion. What's going so wrong for New York, Julian?
Starting pitching. I said at the deadline, I think that the Mets, they did everything. They shored up their bullpen some by adding Soto to the mix, obviously. And then, but the starting pitching, I never believed in their starting pitching. That's why I had them sort of on the outside looking into a playoff run. Now, I don't think that's going to happen, obviously. They played really, really well this season. But I think the starting pitching from Clay Holmes, you don't know what you're going to get out of him. He can't go more than 5 innings, right? It's like it just shuts off. And I think that's a valid reason. He's never done it before. They have a lot of guys that certainly are coming back from injury. Sean Manaea is coming back from injury. Frankie Montas is coming back from injury. So if you're looking at the starting pitching, that's a big question mark for me.
Yeah, it is. They have no rotation depth there because of the injuries to like Griffin Canning, Tyler McGill, Paul Blackburn. So like Frankie Montas, terrible on the season, and he just got lit up again yesterday. And you wonder, as Julian said, Clay Holmes, how much longer can he stay in the rotation? He's been a reliever his entire big league career. We're over 100 innings now. Kodai Senga is always going to be an injury risk. Then you're left with David Peterson, Sean Manaea, who started the year injured. Like, question marks all over that rotation there. The thing about the Mets is, and I'll throw the Phillies into a similar boat, is it seems like this is just how it's going to be all season with these two teams. They're just going to both be hot and cold. They're going to get really, really hot and look awesome. So the question becomes for one of these two teams, or both, which one's going to get hot at the right time? Which one's going to get hot heading into October? Or are they both going to get bounced in the early rounds because they have one of their cold stretches? It's going to be really, really interesting. I do really like the back end of the Mets bullpen now that they added Ryan Helsley to Edwin Diaz, and I overall like their offense. Again, it's hot and cold at times, but I generally really like it.
Yeah, it's some valid questions you bring up there, Matt. At number 9, you guys, we find the Red Sox, winners of 5 straight games. What has allowed, though, ultimately the Red Sox to now sit within striking range of the best record in the American League, Julian?
I think for me, it starts with Trevor Story and Alex Bregman. I mean, there are so many times last year where you saw that Trevor didn't play, right? He was a guy that was injured all the time. And I think with not having Alex Bregman at third base, that made them one of the worst defensive teams in baseball. But you see with their defense, they're able to turn double plays. They're able to stop rallies. And then, oh, by the way, you add in Garrett Crochet to the mix. He is the ultimate stopper for this team. When this team seems to be spiraling, all of a sudden Garrett Crochet goes up there and puts up zeros on the board or just allows one run. I think this team has the ability to make it to the playoffs. I don't know how they look in the playoffs, but certainly they proved a lot of people wrong post-Devers trade.
All right, done enough to get there at least. Lastly here, Matt, the Marlins coming off a sweep of the New York Yankees, move up 4 spots to 15. How would you describe the run they've been on?
Man, unbelievable. It doesn't make sense when you look at the personnel here, other than like Kyle Stowers, for example, legit bona fide slugger. Yuri Perez, Sandy Alcantara, and Edward Cabrera, they're capable of pitching like a really solid 1, 2, 3 in the rotation. But I tell you what, from June 20th until right now, the Marlins have gotten 25-11. The only team in baseball with a better record than them, unsurprisingly, is the Milwaukee Brewers. The Marlins are 10-1-1 in series since then. They've taken the Brewers in series. They beat the Padres. They've swept the Yankees. The only team that has beat them in a series is the Brewers. So like they got beat by the Brewers in a series, but then they avenged it and took them down in Milwaukee. The Brewers aren't losing to anybody right now, except the Marlins went and got 2 out of 3 from them in Milwaukee, and they actually almost swept that series. So it's been quite a run. And actually, the funny thing is, I don't think they're going to make the playoffs, but they're only 6 games out of a wild card spot right now. And with the miracle run that we saw from the Tigers last year, for example, the Marlins might start to believe a little bit and might start to push themselves into the playoff picture.
It's been fun to watch. Guys, great stuff as always. You can go ahead and check out the full list of MLB Power Rankings over on CBSSports.com. The Brewers at number 1, and Matt making it very clear we need to stop talking about market size. Here's a look at some of the notable MLB games going on tonight. 6:40 p.m. we'll see a first pitch between the Astros and those Marlins we were just talking about. The Guardians and Mets also at 7:10. The Brewers, number 1 team in baseball. 7:15 will take on the Atlanta Braves, followed by nightcap the Cardinals and Dodgers.